Welcome back to Mindful Endeavors. I am your host, New Age Alchemist. Joining us today is Edie. So, really quick, as always, we like to start with the disclaimer that we're not mental health professionals, and if we do encounter a topic of mental health, we're just talking about it from a nuanced perspective, and we encourage those that need help to seek it. And yeah, hope you enjoy the conversation. So, Bass Queen 83, you're one of my favorite people to follow on Instagram
Yeah.
because you always spread positivity, and that's a good thing. We should definitely encourage that more from our creators. So, really quick, introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Edie Wilkinson. I'm from Middlebury, Indiana. As he said, you can find me on Bass Queen 83 on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well, Bass Queen Fishing or Edie Wilkinson. But yeah, I am
Oh
a
no.
almost 39-year-old and like to big bass fisher. So I fished quite a few tournaments, and I'm about to kick off my 2022 season here in about a week or so. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
tournament fishing, that's something I haven't talked about yet on this podcast. And
yeah,
from what I've heard from somebody that actually recommended me against it. I don't know why. They never really explained it to me why. I was just like, okay. But it's something that I definitely am curious about because I do see people and I do follow people, such as yourself that are in the
mhm.
scene. So yeah, what is that like?
It is just I can't really explain it, but if you're a competitive person, if you like thrive with competition and stuff, I absolutely recommend it. I mean, because you're forced to learn things like almost in a fair manner than what you would otherwise, because it's a fast pace, and if it's you either keep up or you fall behind on it really. um, but yeah, and I love competition, so that's a big part of what drives me to put that many hours on the water, to always strive to get better at it and stuff, is because I want to win. I like to win, so
What's that? What's
I
that?
like to be the best at what I do, so
And what's that saying that iron sharpens iron?
yeah.
Yeah. So
But yeah.
so no, yeah, that's pretty good. So what are the preparations you need to do? I mean, obviously you have to prepare yourself mentally. You know, I
Yep.
know there's a mental
Oh
aspect to
yeah.
it, but yeah, go ahead and explain what you do to prepare.
Yeah, the mental part of it is probably the biggest part of it for me, honestly, is because I've always struggled with anxiety, and things, panic attacks, different things like that
Hmm.
throughout my life. So the game of it is huge for me as far as tournaments go. I have learned, I mean, the first couple years, I can't tell you how many tournaments that I lost or skunked on or whatever due to emotions, letting the emotions get to me. Um, so the mental game is definitely a huge part of it. And I just keep telling myself, it's just fishing. I'm going out and fishing. It's doing what I love. And that's all there is. If I go out there and I do everything that I can, I give it all I've got. That's all I can do. Um, I'm going to make mistakes. Yeah. But I will also learn from them. And that's sort of the mindset that I have to keep like replaying in my head. For some people it comes more naturally than others. um, but definitely a positive mindset on it. And then as far as like the physical preparation is just organization, which I also struggle with a little bit. Just putting that time in, just pushing past those barriers and saying, hey, this is what I need to do. I need to make a list. If that's what I have to do to keep it all straight and in order, then I make lists. And yeah, this getting ready for this probably the biggest stage I've been on so far,
Dang, that's awesome.
is has been pretty challenging for me as far as keeping my emotions in check and everything. But I'm getting there. I This weekend has been definitely productive towards that and stuff, and I'm in a much better place than I was a couple days ago as far as emotionally goes, getting ready for it. So
That's good to hear. I
yeah.
know I haven't talked about this on the podcast, but one thing that I've definitely noticed that there's like an overlap, like with when it comes to fishing, whether off the bank and I would imagine off a boat. I've never been on a boat yet, but just fishing in general. Like it overlaps with like tennis because I used to play tennis in high school, and I know
Okay.
that if I was angry for whatever reason or just not, mentally like checked in,
Hmm.
like I would basically bomb the ball or just, with that
Oh
kind of
yeah.
energy, like make mistakes like crazy. And then I've noticed that there's been a couple times where I fished with like some pretty, and I was putting out pretty bad negative energy, and all of a sudden it gets stuck on a tree or stuff that normally wouldn't happen just decides to happen that day.
Oh, absolutely. And even if you're not like hooking trees or, tangling things up because you're more frustrated than normal, it's I've noticed even if I don't do that part of it, I still won't catch the fish. And it's just because I feel my energy feeds through. And
Mhm.
it's not as natural, it's not as relaxed, it's not as just, I don't really know how to explain it, but I feel the energy feeds through, and I won't catch the fish. It's if I can calm my mind and put myself in a good spot up here, it feeds through, and I catch more fish. I mean, it's all there's to it. It's,
I mean, I know it's kind of hard to really explain to like,
yeah,
especially
it
like
is.
people that are listening, like you just have to kind of go out there and fish. Like I remember,
Yeah.
I do have
Yep.
like right now as you were talking, like what came to mind was when I was I was using the popper, and then like I
Mhm.
was just thinking positive. Like I know if I leave it here, there's gonna be a fish that's gonna bite it. I already know, and I was just thinking
Yeah.
that like for like 3 seconds, all of a sudden, like you see the
Yeah.
pop like from the water, and it was just like,
Well,
did I just
yeah,
manifest
and
that
just
fish out of nowhere? Like was I
yeah,
just
and
like,
just the craziest thing, my personal best smallmouth up on St. Clair.
mm-hmm,
I mean, we had fished all morning and had, next to nothing, had no keepers. And we were out in the middle, it was about 11 feet of water. Okay. And I said, how often we don't get the chance to go up there very often. It's one of our favorite spots. We were in a tournament, and I was like, what do I have to lose? I'm going to do something crazy. I tied on a top water, the Miss Chief Minnow, tied on, threw it out. And I literally said, like physically said the words. I said, how freaking cool would it be if I had a big old smallmouth blow up on my top water bait in the middle of St. Clair, in 11 feet of water. And I kid you not, you can call me crazy, but 30 seconds later, it freaking happened. I mean, just woof, and I watched it happen. And it's like, it's in the mindset. And I'm not saying, it wouldn't have happened if I didn't say that, but it's in the mindset, of it. If I wouldn't have had the, hey, what's it gonna hurt? If I hadn't thrown it, I wouldn't have caught the fish.
yeah.
And it's like it happened, and it was, I mean, that's still to this day is probably the highlight. Like I was shaking, crying, like that literally just happened. It's one of those, confidence things. Like, if you have that right attitude, if you have that drive, and to just keep pushing and to push the boundaries of what what the norm is, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, especially when I mean when it comes to like depression and anxiety, right? Like some people get in the hole and then just keep digging, and it's hard like
Yeah.
to kind of like stop, right? But it's one of those things where like you gotta do your best and train your mind a little bit. I mean, obviously every case is different. It's not like a one
Yep.
size fits all, but like you
And but
train
it but
yourself.
it's an everyday struggle. You have to like
Hmm.
you have to consciously like choose to put those thoughts in your head. It's I mean, they're not just, especially if you've had a lifetime of struggling with that, the depression and the negative and the anxiety and all of that due to circumstances or whatever it is. If you don't consciously choose for a length of time to put that in your head, then it's just going to fall back to what it always was. And once
Yeah.
it starts getting easier, after you do it so many times and stuff, but still, it's still to this day is a conscious effort for me to keep, those positive thoughts and stuff in my head.
Oh yeah, same here. It's one of those things where I try my best if I have a bad week, I try my best to look like, okay, what I know I may have had a bad week generally speaking, but there has to have been a good moment. And sometimes like I find a good moment and like, all right, in that week, that's what I'm holding on to. And that's what I'm thinking. And
Yep.
that's what I'm going to be replaying in my head. And if there's nothing in that week, all right, what about last week? okay, well, there was a lot of good things that happened last week. Hold on to those. And
Yep.
it's one of those things where it's something that I think takes some training to get into the habit of doing.
Yeah.
And
Yep. Or even,
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was just going to say, or even, if you can't think of a good thing, try to find a good thing that came out of a bad thing.
Yeah.
It, yeah, this is in your head. It seems like a bad thing, but what good could you get out of this? And then focus on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's not always going to be a positive thing happening, but positive things can come from what we see as negative things.
Yeah, exactly. One mindset that I do like, and I know that some people, because I've talked about the type of mindset, I know some people would think that it's kind of a negative way of looking at things, but I think not really so much. Like, it's kind of like one of those things where, like, the mentality is like you expect the worst but hope for the best. So once you expect the worst possible outcome, okay, well, it can't get any lower than this. So
Yeah.
oftentimes in my
But why not
experience,
expect the best?
well, yeah, I mean, obviously, right? Like, expect the best,
you
but
know
like, it's like one of those things. Like, in my experience, like, it's never been bad as how I expected it to be, like, quote unquote
hmm
expected it to be. So it's like, okay, well, it wasn't that bad. So now it's time to pick myself up and just get going again. But then oftentimes when I go,
right.
like, all right, well, yeah, that's the worst possible outcome, but here's what can go right. Like, if I actually
Yeah.
take the risk, here's what can go right.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't get to that point, but okay, well, what am I at, a net positive or a net negative? And you
Yeah.
kind of like have to analyze that type of situation.
Yeah. But I've and just saying that, and I said that because I've started, like, a mind switch for me was to start saying yes. And I've mentioned that a couple times in a couple of my posts and stuff, is to just say yes, because what do you have to lose? If it doesn't work out, you're not further behind than you were before you said yes. What if it does work out? And that's why I said, expect the best. Start expecting, you know, expect the good, expect the positive, expect the growth, and say yes to get there. And it's rather than, well, what could go wrong if I say yes? Just say yes and find out what could go right.
Yeah.
It's and it seems huge, and it's not as easy as it sounds, but once you take that step a couple of times, and it's amazing what happens if you do. And it has a lot to do with your mindset too, because you're going to make it happen.
Hmm.
But it's, I mean, this past year is kind of the biggest part of that, where I started saying yes to things, and like the opportunities and the growth that has happened is like mind blowing to me if I think about it. And it's simply because I said yes to a couple things. you know.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I think it definitely helps. Saying, I mean, I would imagine, because it's something that I'm shifting. Like, even though I said that I really like getting into that mentality, like, hope for the expect the worst, hope for the best, but I am also trying to be a little bit more on the hoping for the best part, right? But I think it
Yeah.
definitely helps when you are surrounded by people that kind of project that same energy and match your energy.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen it on social media.
Yeah.
It's
And it's up
yeah,
to us to surround ourselves with that, with those people. It's yeah.
yeah, no, like, how many people, like, can we tell that we're all, like, pretty close in the community, but we know that these people, okay, well, when have they said a negative comment for the sake of just putting someone down? Never. When do they
Yeah.
just say anything negative in general? Not really. And when it comes to, like, picking up a new
No.
sport, like fishing, hunting, or whatever, or just hiking, like, it helps with being around those people, because, okay, well, they'll point out a mistake, but they'll point it out in a constructive way because they want you to be better.
Because
You
they
know
want to help. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
I
So
mean, a couple of the communities, that I'm a part of on their people that I've met and stuff is it's and it's social media, but it's also, I found that has helped me build it in, like, in real life too, like local people, and starting to build those relationships, and get into the community locally as well, which is, and you tie, sort of tie the two together a little bit more. And it's yeah. I mean, without being surrounded by, all of that, it would definitely be
Oh, okay. We're having a little bit of internet issues. You might have to repeat that one last thing.
It keeps going out.
Okay. So you left off of like without having those people. That's when it just cut off.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, without, without having those people, the struggle and the fight would definitely be much harder, and seem much less achievable if you didn't have that.
Yeah, I agree. And I always say at the very least, you want to be around people that won't spread negativity, even if they don't necessarily build you up. At the least, they keep you distracted. Like, oh, I have a fishing buddy that when we go out to fish, all we do is just talk about fishing. Okay, that's fine. That serves as a distraction. So, and that's at least the line that we have to draw. And it's really easy to spread negativity on social media because you're hiding behind a screen. So it's really easy to, just say random stuff. And I know I've gotten several times like some negative comments on my posts. I leave them there just because it's like, all right, well, other people are going to see that these people don't have anything positive to say. Or,
Right.
In the cases where I've, like, for example, the carp picture, the very first carp picture that I posted where the carp fell and it was all grassy, there was like 5 negative comments, but there was one there that actually told me like, hey, you need to get this kind of mat. That way you set it on the mat and all this stuff. And all right, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
now, thanks. Now I know. Yeah.
Immediately what I did was went online and bought for right now, the cheapest mat that I can that I can afford. But hey,
Well,
at least now I
but
have one.
But yeah, no, that's somebody that's trying to help you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's definitely about that and some empathy because I think we definitely are missing empathy in general.
Yeah.
Just because, like, like even when we see something like on social media, we don't know because we weren't there, like the perspective of what actually happened. We only know what is being shown.
Yeah.
So you want to take into those you want to take those things into account whenever you want to interact with someone, right? So it's a lot. I mean, sure, it seems like work, but I mean, like you get a good feeling out of it, like, okay, I wasn't a jerk, and this person smiled back at me, or this person interacted in a positive way back at me, and that makes me feel good. So it's like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of good that can come from that.
Yeah. No, it's and you can usually, even if it is on social, especially for me because I tend to read people a little bit more and get the sense of people, because I am an empath. But you can usually get a pretty good feel for people, if or if there's good intention behind it or if there's not. And if I get the feel that there is not good intention behind something, it's like I don't even waste my time.
Mm-hmm.
It's no, if you're trying to drag somebody else or myself or anything, bring negative, it's not worth it. It's not even worth it. Just I move on.
Yeah.
It's because I'd rather spend minutes focusing on positive and being positive than trying to even yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
sometimes
I
like
think you get my drift with it. Yeah.
no, I definitely do. And it's like it's already bad enough. Like I know in high school I did this a lot, where somebody would upset me, and then I would think about it for a day or two, and it's like, okay, well that person's enjoying their weekend, and I'm over here dwelling about like, oh, they said this in front of this person and made me feel embarrassed, and it's like, okay, now I'm mad at this person or angry at this person,
Yeah.
and it's like they're out there, going, I don't know, to like a water park or whatever, and I'm over here
Right.
just pouting. And it's like, so I'm wasting energy, and they're just like, not
Yeah.
even thinking about it. So it's like it's one of those things where we have to realize that you're just going to waste a lot of time, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So you can put
Yeah.
that into
And
something else.
and it's all, and that's all a part of growth and maturing. As teenagers, that can be huge, and but yeah, that's definitely a part of growth and maturing and stuff with that. So
Yeah, and then
but yeah,
even
because you think back, like if you think about the things that like were just the world coming to an end as a teenager, and look at it now, it's like it's really a testament to how much growth and how far we've come. And I see my kids, growing up and maturing and stuff, and it's really cool if you're aware of it, and pay attention to that. It's
Yeah. No, yeah, and I
yeah.
mean, the to make it to just to talk about it, not obviously to dwell on it, but it's even worse sometimes. I feel like on social media because especially talking to certain people, like they get upset that this person is doing this or spreading this bad things, or they had a tiff with somebody, and then like some
Yeah, but
stranger.
let them.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing. They're just a
yeah.
stranger on a screen. You're never going to see them in person. You're not going to try to meet them. So it's like, why even dwell on it?
Yeah. Just don't look at it again and just go on and watch, look at the positive things, and then you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, and then even like right now, like with fishing communities and hunting communities, like and especially hunting communities, but it's like you gotta stick to why you're spreading, your content. It's because you want to
Right.
it's either therapeutic because you're kind of using it as a journaling device, which is what originally my Instagram started out to be,
Hmm.
or you just want to show people the love of the sport and maybe even like inspire somebody or motivate somebody to get into it. Like
Right.
you gotta focus on that rather than like, oh, this person's saying you suck or this person is saying you're not doing it correctly, and it's like, okay, then what is correctly? Like like again with the
Right.
cart post, like what is correctly? Take the time, like an
I
extra
mean,
10
I
seconds.
yeah, and what may feel right for me and what I may feel led to post, and stuff, that's that's what I'm going to do. It- that may not feel right to somebody else, and I don't expect them to do that. It's each person is unique and an individual, and each person has the right and you know like the responsibility to do what they feel is right for them to do. um
Yeah,
I don't expect everybody to agree or like or whatever come in line with what I do. It'd be boring. It would,
yeah,
everybody's unique and individual and has their own thoughts and purpose. And I want them to pursue their own individual thoughts and purpose. It's
yeah. No, yeah,
if that
because
makes sense.
no, that makes perfect sense.
Sort of
Like
going down a rabbit hole here, but
no, not at all. I mean, we have the platform to discuss to talk about these things, so it's all good. But one thing I was gonna say, yeah, with like we already have like so many forces outside that are affecting us, and you see like the rampant rise in depression, anxiety, uh, because of COVID, and then exacerbated by social media sometimes, or what have you, because of the reasons we just talked about.
absolutely.
And we don't need to like we don't need to be another factor contributing to the anxiety, depression of somebody else. Like it's
Yeah.
like that's something that we can control. We can control how we like with the kind of energy we put out, and if we choose who and what to let in, like we have that
Yeah.
control. And I think that's kind of like sometimes where people forget that they're in more control of certain aspects than they would like to be that they believe.
Yeah, and that leads to also like I try to post like very authentically and like openly and not, but it's also a fine line to not come across as negative. Like if I have a bad day or things are going wrong or whatever, I will post about it, but then I'll also post about what it's taught me and what how I grew from that or how I'm trying to grow from that. Um, because I mean, it's not all rosy rainbows and all that. It's, and I don't want to portray that because that's not reality. Um, but I also don't want to, be negative and say, it's because each one of those days or moments or down, bad spots or whatever are also moments of growth and learning and self-awareness and stuff that I'm beginning to have the tools and the knowledge to use and to figure out, and to use it as growth and to push me forward rather than to keep me stuck.
Yeah, because progression, I mean, that's the important thing. Like whether you're going like 1 mile an hour or 100 miles an hour, like you want progression. You just don't want to stay in the same spot.
Yeah. Yep. As long as it's staying or moving forward, as long as you're always trying to, I don't care if it's the smallest of steps, and you take that same step every day because you're being dragged back, as long as it's forward momentum, that you're working on.
Yeah.
That's all. At the end of the day, that's what matters.
And I think that that's one thing, and I've talked about it in several episodes from one aspect or another. But something that is always working against us in terms of what we're talking about progression is the instant gratification. That it almost seems like when you look at a lot of different things, it's almost encouraging that, right? That's the metric of success. Like you get the instant gratification right off the bat, and a lot of people have trouble distinguishing, like, or even just like appreciating delayed gratification. It's like, okay, well, I put in X amount of hours into this. I'm not going to see it come into fruition until, I don't know, plus 20 more hours, but a lot of times we
Yeah.
want something now.
Hey, sometimes not for years,
Yeah. Sometimes not for years. Yeah.
But hey, but you still, everything that you do is for a reason, and for, for a future cause or for a bigger cause. It's everything happens, and everything that you do is for a reason, whether it is to drag you back, or whether it is to move you forward.
Mm-hmm. And
Everything you do is for a reason and a purpose, and it can either be one or the other, and it's that's up to us to choose.
Yeah, because I mean, I know a while ago, maybe like 4 years ago, I was seeing articles about recent grads and why millennials are difficult to hire versus like Gen X and baby boomers, and it's like I think it was the preliminary stages of like instant gratification, because like they were talking about how like millennials don't take criticism well, and when you look at like certain things, again, like we consume media really really fast, and for a while there was that app that was it called, I think Vine, the 6-second video app, where it's like you had to get everything into 6 seconds, so even if you saw something you expected the punchline quick, like like there was all these different things, and I don't, and it was weird because like I think it's still relevant today, like not even just for millennials now. It's like I think it's like across the spectrum. Like the next generation was Gen Z, and then even some Gen Xers like are falling into that trap, right? Where it's like, okay, well, I want to put this, and sure, they might deserve whatever reward comes out of it, but you gotta work for it, because nothing worth having comes easy, right?
No, no, and I think that's what scares me a little bit about this upcoming generation, is because I think too many of them have had too much stuff come easy.
Mm-hmm.
and if they're not taught, that nature versus nurture thing, of course, I think there's a lot of them are going to struggle, when they realize, hey, things aren't always going to be handed to you. But myself was a different situation too, because I've been on my own since I was 15. I mean, I grew up, in a very self-sufficient way, but very naive to anything outside of my little, community. And then leaving that and being out, on my own since then is, kind of jades me a little bit as to what the normal process is, I guess, and I don't even know if there is a normal process, but it's, in my head, I think, well, my gosh, at that age, my kids are nowhere close to, but they don't need to be, the need didn't call for that either.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that it's my responsibility to teach them that to be self-sufficient, and to be their own person, and to have their own mind, and be able to stand strong and tall on their own as an individual, without, feeling the need to have of, people just for people, and not for what they're standing for. If I don't know if I'm getting across what I'm trying to say here.
No, I get a feeling like yeah, like I mean, because it's not to say the next generation is spoiled. I mean, at the end of the day, the parents are the gatekeepers of what they have and don't have, right?
Yes.
So I get what you're saying, like even like, but because even like there's certain things that we do for convenience that have unintended consequences sometimes, or sometimes they might be intended. Where like, for example, like a smart home, like now it's like, it seems like so much work to just get up and turn the light switch off,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like stuff like that, like, oh, well, just, Alexa, turn off the light.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, and when you look at like, for example, like when I grew up, like if I couldn't find the remote, oh, that's it. I'm not watching television. And,
Right. And it's not that I'm saying, that there's something wrong with all of that, but it's just I feel that it should have the knowledge of what it's, that they would be able to be self-sufficient if they didn't have all of that, if that makes sense. Because, what if they didn't? What if there's a time and a place that they needed to figure something out on their own without any of that? And I think that they should have the common sense and the basic knowledge and tools and stuff to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and I know I always had the opinion that video games, if consumed correctly, like they can unlock like processing power in people's brains. But then now you have YouTube and like, and I see it with my nephew all the time because he's really big into video games, right? So he gets stuck in something. All right, well, let me see the YouTube video of how somebody else beat it. Whereas like I remember getting stuck on something in Super Mario, and
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. I would die like 10,000 times before I would figure it out.
To me, that's like cheating.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, like I was like, dude, you have no idea how bad it was when I was growing up playing video games.
Uphill both ways.
Yeah.
I tell them those stories too. How well we really did bike to school and stuff, but I'll say it was uphill both ways.
Yeah.
Wind to the face.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. It's and like you said, it's really important to be mindful that certain things are not going to be there all the time. Like they may seem like to be the case, but it's not always going to be that. Like, about the snowstorm that happened in Texas last year, right? So a lot of people were locked in because they couldn't drive or whatever. And I talked to so many people that didn't own a manual can opener, like, and people my age.
Yeah, and like I had one of my nephews. I mean, was out hiking, got caught in a snowstorm out in Montana, and he was stuck out there. And if he didn't have, the knowledge and the tools that he did and stuff, he wouldn't be here today. Just common sense and survival tools, the basic survival tools and stuff is,
super important. Yeah, super important.
Yeah.
I mean, because you look at like that, and like there was people that were like didn't realize that if you set like a gas, like if you put the what is the lighter fluid on just paper and stuff, like the fumes will basically suffocate you because people were running out of heat. And like it's like, well, you gotta understand that what it takes to build a fire and all that stuff. And it seems like it's like oh well, it's not even like worth knowing, but you don't know until you get into a situation where like that
until
saves
you experience it. That's how you learn, is through experiences. Sometimes bad ones, sometimes good ones, but I mean that's how everybody learns, it through life experiences, and from the experiences of others. It's what's that one saying, I think by Thomas Edison? I haven't failed, I have just learned 10,000 ways that wouldn't work, or something like that, I think. But
I think it was Thomas Edison.
But it's that's the way it is, and I'm stubborn and hard-headed, and I've had a lot of hard lessons learned, but but that's the way that I learn.
I mean, and I see like I said, it doesn't affect just one generation. You see it more probably like in the millennial and Gen Z's generation. But like for example, like I work in mixed martial arts now, and I've seen people, and even not even before I worked, as a trainer or whatever, and I see people that come in and just think that they just because they can hit a bag, they're ready, they can fight in whatever thing. It's like no,
Yeah.
you gotta practice the fundamentals, and I see the impatience in people because they're like, why am I practicing this? I want to practice punches. It's like, well, you need the
I just want to
foundation
do
first.
this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
need the foundation. You need this. And then
Yeah.
I'll show them an exercise to help improve on the foundation. It's like, well, why am I lifting weights, or why am I doing this exercise? I want to learn boxing or kickboxing. It's like all that's going to come into play.
Yeah.
And I see
They want
people
the
quit.
instant gratification. They don't
Exactly.
see the big picture of what will get them there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like the people that have been patient with me, like they realize, whoa, this professional fighter is doing what you're teaching me, and I'm like, yes, because what I'm teaching you right now is going to build you to that, and eventually you can practice that and you'll be proficient at that. And they've been patient since that. I tell them to do something, I give them like some homework, and they'll do it, and then by the time we come back the next week, I'm like, okay, I definitely can tell you improved. So yeah. I think you might be frozen right now.
You keep freezing up.
I think we both are. Yeah. I know I might be having internet issues because it is windy, and the building that I'm in, when it gets windy, it's not game over, but just I start having issues. Oh no. I apologize to the listeners and viewers. We're trying to get this controlled.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
There you go.
Sorry.
I don't know what's going on.
Like I said, it might be me, just because I know when it's really windy, something goes off here. But yeah. So anyway, so like I was saying, like those that were patient, they learn well, and then they're able to practice well, and then it gets to a point where if like they bounce around between other gyms, like the person that's training them the next time doesn't have to really correct a lot of the fundamentals because they already have it and they don't have any bad habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that instant gratification is a killer.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can't say anything because I'm, who doesn't like instant gratification, but it's also hard lessons learned that you don't just go for the instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to take the right process of getting there.
Yeah. But I mean, I know for me, like, yeah, there's times where I'm like, I want something sweet. The donuts, I'll go buy a donut because it's like, again, instant, right?
Yeah.
But the times where I bake something or make something that's really, really good, I get the most joy out of that.
Oh yeah.
And
yep.
I think
sure.
Yeah. And I think that's what I mean. Yep. I'm not saying that we should people should try to live like in like the 1600s, but if there's a way to put in a little bit of work, I would definitely encourage to take the longer route, just because you get into that habit where it's like, okay, well, now if I have to struggle, I'm already ready.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, I tie almost all of my own jigs. Every time that I've lived where I was able to have a garden, I like to have my own garden, and have all my fresh vegetables. That's how I grew up. And that's like, I definitely see the positives and the benefits of that. And the values, that I've learned over the years, and stuff that is priceless, and I've been able to pass a lot of that along to my kids, over the years when I've been able, to do that and stuff. And I like knowing that they have that knowledge, even whether, it's not like currently we are not able to have a garden, but I still know next year if they had their own place, they would be able to do that. And just things like that I like to know that I've been able to pass along, because people in my life have passed on to me.
No, yeah, like I helped my mom when she was like taking care of, like she was doing babysitting work, so just so we can get by because we didn't have a lot when we were growing up. And on the times that I wasn't going to school, and this was when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I wasn't going to. It was during the summer. Um, I was like, okay, well, I've been to the grocery store with you before, so just tell me what you need and I'll go. And some of my friends make fun of me because I would do that, right? It's like, oh, mama's boy and all this stuff, and it's like, all right, whatever, your situation is different than mine, so I didn't really make much of it. But fast forward from not even until today, and even my brothers kind of see that, like, oh, all those times that you went like shopping for groceries helped you because you know what to make, how to make it. I'm like, yeah, because I got to play around with spices, or I got to pick out like how does a lime or an apple look when it's ripe and all this other stuff. So I know what's in season, how to eat it, and all this stuff. And it's something that you would think, oh, you're just doing a chore for your mom. Like, no, there's value to it.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and I've noticed recently too, like with the kids and stuff, the way that they do things. And I've caught myself a couple of times like stopping and being like, wow, they have listened to me over the years, like they're getting it. It's, and I'm not saying, that it's just exactly the way that I did, but it's the basic concept of, the good value, and it's just standing back and actually watching it happen and seeing it, come to fruition, like, because as a parent, like that's your goal, that's your mission, your purpose, is to raise your kids to be, good, solid citizens and contribute to society, the universe, and to see that happen is just very, absolutely, very rewarding.
Yeah, and I'm
getting teary-eyed almost. It's
no, I get you. It's a good kind of tears. Because it's a good joy that's not easily describable. Because even I got a glimpse of what you're talking about when I was teaching my nephew and my niece how to fish, and my niece is 4, my nephew's 6. And like, it's funny watching them. Like, I set up the rod and everything, and then they were learning how to cast. They messed up the first couple of casts, but then once they got it, like, you can see like just how much their self-esteem like got boosted, and how much happier they were just because, like, oh, look, I can cast, and like, now they can cast, and they cast far. And I was just,
like when they realize that they are capable of it, something that they thought they weren't. And you just, sometimes it just needs that little nudge, but once they are capable of anything, that they believe that they are, and once they start realizing that, it's huge.
And my concern was like, oh, if we don't catch a fish, they're probably not going to want to do it anymore. But no,
it's okay.
but they were like, no, we didn't catch a fish, let's catch them next time. I'm like, let's catch them next time. That's the kind of attitude I want them to get. Like, okay, well, not this time, but the next time, let's go. And I was just in, I mean, I wasn't in tears, like physical tears, but like, in the heart, like I was definitely getting like all teary, and I'm just like, dude, this is what I like to hear. Oh no, we had another interruption. Sorry, guys. Let me turn off my camera. Okay, can you hear me? I can kind of hear you now. There you go. I think you're back.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay.
There you are.
Yeah, I purposely turned off the camera just to reduce the load, like on the network and stuff. So, but okay, I think we're good now. But yeah, like, that's the mentality that I want them to have. And seeing that, like, I wasn't like teary, like when, like, I wasn't crying, but like in my heart, I was just like so proud. I just couldn't describe it. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Just, so now they have the tools and the knowledge, and they know, hey, we're doing it right. So next time, there will be a time we're going to get them, even if it's not this time. So.
Oh yeah. Like, they want me to go back there already so we can go fishing. Like, they've said it themselves. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, this is a good thing.
That's awesome.
And I like to fish too. So then, So, and I think a lot of times, I think we just have to like, because that's not like the outdoors is something that wasn't really like taught to me by my parents. Like it just wasn't a thing. Like they're not really outdoorsy people. They grew up in the city.
Right.
So
I grew up outdoors.
yeah, but it's one of those things where like just because it's a cycle doesn't necessarily mean it has to continue to be a cycle. So I broke it by teaching myself like how to fish, how to, I went out hiking and all this other stuff. I'm gonna break it with my niece and nephew, and then if and when I have my kids, I'll do the same thing. So then now we have a tradition. So now we have the tradition of going out to fish and all that stuff together.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, that's cool. And see, I grew up in the outdoors way more than my kids have, to be honest. And a lot of it was just due to some living restrictions and stuff that didn't really as much as, well, really there's no excuses, as just I was a single mom, and I didn't have the time to do it as much as I would have liked with them. But yeah, it's now they're more into it, and I'm a lot more into it than I was, earlier in their life as well, and making it more of a priority. So
yeah, but I mean, you got them through life, so that's all that matters. That's the important thing. And you got them there to go out fishing, because I think you made a post recently of one of your sons fishing, right?
Yeah. But yeah, but they oh, there it is. But yeah, like last night, and they were out.
Let me turn off my camera again. Okay, I turned off my camera again, so just if you don't see me, it's because of that. I'm gonna give it like 2 minutes. Okay. So yeah, so you were saying last night?
Oh yeah, I said we got a lot of snow last night. It's probably close to a foot of snow overnight that we had here, and the kids decided today they're gonna go out and play in it. And they were outside. Yeah, it was funny, and they had a blast out in it. And that's how I grew up. Like we lived outside, whether it was winter or summer, it didn't matter. We'd be outside until it was dark.
Yeah. No, yeah. And even when it was snowing really bad here, I went out for a run. And I was just, because I'd never been in snow like that. So I was all right. I went out and made my very first ever snow angel. It wasn't a very good one, but I made one. And yeah, I had a blast on the snow. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of be around snow a little bit more. Okay. I think it is my camera for some odd reason.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I don't know.
No, I don't know if it's my camera, because whenever I turned off, we're getting good sound right now. But I turn it on and all of a sudden it starts getting choppy again.
And it starts getting choppy again.
Yeah.
Huh.
So let's just finish the episode like this, and I'll turn off my camera. And I don't know if it's my internet. I'm almost like 80% sure that it's mine, but yeah.
Yeah, I usually don't have an issue streaming. But so it's definitely it could be mine. I don't know.
No, it's okay. You can put the blame on me. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, but yeah, so what I was saying before.
Can I shut my camera off too?
If you want, yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna help. Okay. But see, right now we haven't had an issue. We haven't had any lag.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but
all right. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was saying, when it was snowing in Texas, a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's a drag and everything," and then I come in just making snow angels, making my very first snow angel. It wasn't a good one, but I was really excited about that, and I was like, "Okay, I can play in the snow."
Yeah, I still love making snow angels. I'm serious. Like there's just something about it, just falling back in the snow and doing that. There's just something pretty magical about that.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
experienced snow because I grew up in LA. So, and
Oh yeah. See, I grew up in northern Michigan where there was a lot of snow. I mean, I remember walking in snow like up to here.
yeah, no, like the only thing that was close to snow was the fires when they would burn so close to like where I was living, and you'd see the ash, and the ash would cover the
Oh,
cars. That's the
oh
closest thing
man.
I had to snow, just ash.
Yeah, that's not like snow.
Definitely not like snow, yeah. So but yeah, but it's really about trying. I mean, I know there were some bad experiences. Certain people had bad experiences with the snowstorm that we had that time, but it's about making the best out of the situation
Yeah.
that you're in. So, and it's something that we could definitely pass on to the next generation. It's just, I think if we just put out good energy, that'll attract like people, like like that saying, it you attract more flies with honey. So yeah. Oh no, you froze again. Darn internet. Okay. So your camera's off. Are you back?
Oh, I turned my camera off too.
Okay, you're back. Cool, cool,
Hello.
cool. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
Yep.
me?
Okay.
Cool, cool.
Yep.
All right, we're good. So we're almost at the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to add, or final thoughts? Anything you want to reemphasize, or any final thoughts?
Um, really just to I guess my point I want to get across is that whatever you set your mind to, you can do. I want everybody to be aware that they're capable of so much more than that they think they are.
Mm-hmm.
And to just start saying yes and to go for it. Um, and you'd be amazed at what can start happening.
That's very good. I mean, it's definitely a mentality that I think would help out in a lot of situations, especially when we're taking calculated risks. Say yes.
Mhm.
Um, and so I would just piggyback off that and just making sure that you're not afraid of basically taking those risks, whether it's something as significant as a certain post that you might want to do on social media. Would like to put a good message. Like if you're taking a risk of whether people are going to respond to it or not. But I think those type of risks, if it's positive, they're worth taking. And just project good energy, and you never know who it's going to affect. So yeah.
Yeah.
Edie, are you still with me?
And I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah. So really quick, let everybody know where they can find you. I think you already said in the beginning of the show, but if you want to go ahead and say it again.
Yeah. I'm Edie Wilkinson again from Middlebury, Indiana. You can find me on Instagram at Bass Queen 83. On Facebook, you can find me at Bass Queen Fishing or Edie Wilkinson. I'm also on Twitter and TikTok as Bass Queen. But yeah, I don't spend that much time on there. So yeah, it was go ahead and check out my pages or whatever, and hopefully we can help each other out.
Yeah, and I definitely recommend those that are still watching and listening to check out her page. There's a lot of positivity from her profile. So Edie, thank you for the conversation. I mean, definitely one of my favorite ones so far, and I knew it was going to go great. So I really appreciate having you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
no, I appreciate you having me. It was an honor, and sorry I was sort of all over the place there, but it just sort of one led to another.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, honestly, this is a good conversation that we had, and I really enjoyed it outside of the internet issues, but
Yeah, absolutely.
it was great. Yeah. So go ahead and stay on the room when I end the recording. And all right, for those that we're still watching this to the end, we appreciate it, and see you guys in the next episode.
All right.